OpenAI recently made their Codex agent tool available to users on the Plus plan and on Enterprise. And since I didn't want to pay $200 a month just to try out Codex, I actually waited a bit and now I finally have access to it. So a few days ago was my first time trying Codex, and I actually used my own AI chat app called Chiori as an experiment. I wanted to see how well it performed in a fairly large code base, which is also complex at the same time. And the results are interesting to say the least. So we'll be going over how it looks like, what it can do, when you should use it, or even if you should. And I'll also give you a quick comparison with other tools similar to it, for example, Cloud Code, or even the CLI of it called Codex-CLI. First of all, what even is Codex? Codex is OpenAI's own shot at building an autonomous coding agent that is built to write code automatically in the background. Now, in theory, this should help you keep your workflow clean and reviewable, but we'll see about that. And it's kind of different from tools like Cursor, since in Cursor, you can actually see the code. Well, in Codex, you can also see the code, but only the diff. So it's not actually a coding platform, it just generates or changes code. So first, let me show you what it actually looks like. Now, in order to see this UI in the first place, you need to go to chatgpt.com/codex. And then you'll be greeted with this screen. First, you'll obviously have the input bar where you can describe the task that you wanted to do. And this can really be anything, but I've found success with small to medium-sized tasks. It's just not very good at complex stuff yet. And that actually goes for most AI tools out there right now, but tools like Lovable, for example, are getting better every day, so we should see AGI soon. But yeah, then you can select the environment here, and an environment is basically just an alias for a project. I don't know why they chose that name specifically, but here you can manage your environments, and in order to create a new one, just click on this button right here. You'll be able to select your GitHub organization, which is your account, and the repository that you want it for. And this is actually something that's quite cool. A lot of AI builder tools nowadays, they can't really connect to a repository, so this is quite nice to see that OpenAI implemented that. You give it a name, a description, you can select which container image you would like to use. Now, right now, there's only the universal one. You can add environment variables and secrets, although I don't really know the difference between those two. Then you can add the setup script, which will run initially. And probably the most important thing is internet access. You can turn it on and off. However, I recommend 100% turning that off. However, what's interesting is that even OpenAI themselves are saying there is a risk attached to giving the agent internet access. And the main risk with that is prompt injection. And we've actually seen cases of private repositories just being given to other people for some reason. And this just happens randomly. So definitely keep this setting off and just never touch it again. Then what's quite cool as well is you can connect to your interactive terminal, although you do have to select repository first, obviously. Now that we've gone through the general UI, let me show you what an actual task looks like. So one thing that I implemented, for example, using Codex is to add a cookie banner, especially for users in the EU. And as you can see here, it added 35 lines of code and I've already merged it into production. If you click on it, we can see the main page for Chiori. You can see it created a new component called cookie banner, which is imported at the top and added into a new file in the components directory, which is very good. It set it as the client, so it runs obviously client side. It imported a library called JSCookie, which I've never heard of before, and it shows you the simple UI, whether you want to accept or not accept cookies. And I like this PR a lot. It's very clean. 1, because it's very simple. 2, because it's very clean. And 3, it literally just does this thing that I asked it to do and nothing else. Unlike in Cursor, for example, where if you ask Sonnet 3.7, for example, to add a new feature, it will add 10 new features and also fix linter errors, which I never asked you about, Cursor. Why are you doing that to me? But yeah, anyways, let's have a look at the log section. And as you can see here, this is basically the entire information that it created. So this is the shell that it has access to. It's now searching for directories and everything. So it's quite cool that it's almost brute forcing its way into success. For example, it's searching for the pages directory, which is outdated now. This is probably using XJS 14. So it's not first searching for information from the package JSON, which I was finding quite odd, since you could have saved a lot of those messages by just checking the package JSON, but whatever, it figured it out still. Now let's have a look at the PR that it created, and it looks like this. Now, one thing you'll realize, first of all, is that it didn't use like a Codex account or anything. It uses your own account, which in my case is Fujiwara Shoki. You go to files changed. You can see the same diff we saw on Codex here, and I merged it pretty quickly because it was very good, and also adds like a small summary of what it did. Another cool thing is in the branch name, it adds Codex, so you know when something is made by Codex. Don't know who did it. Now, once again, you might be kind of disappointed by this tool because it's not really what you thought of, because Sam Altman keeps mentioning AGI in his tweets for some reason. But I think this is kind of perfect for the current state that we're in, because this just gives me reassurance, for example, that we're not going to be replaced by AI anytime soon, since right now it can only do cookie banners and a couple of other stuff. And I think this is the way it's supposed to be for now, at least. We can't stay stuck here forever, but I'm just fine with this. Now, comparing this to something like write Claude code, for example. It's quite difficult since Claude Code or Codex-CLI, whatever you want to use, mainly works on the current branch and it's actually locally on your own machine and you actually know what's going on. However, with Codex, it's not your environment. Although you can access the terminal, you can't control much more. So there's obviously upsides and downsides to using a terminal-based AI tool or one that runs in the cloud entirely. And for me right now, the best solution is one that is hybrid, which is Cursor in this use case. I do want to mention one last thing, however, and that Codex is actually built into the native iOS ChatGPT app. And that's something that I haven't seen before. Like, that's the first time we're seeing from a huge company like OpenAI making an iOS app for their builder tool. Now, it's not their own app, but it's integrated into ChatGPT. And so just on the go, you can add new features or exactly stuff like cookie banners. And believe it or not, the cookie banner was generated while I was on my way to the gym on the bus. So yeah, it really does work and it's pretty cool. And I was just reviewing the PR on my way home. And yeah, it's probably important to mention the speed. So it took like 10 minutes to generate that PR for the cookie banner, which is quite fast actually, especially with setting up the whole environment and everything. Still doesn't compare to something like Cursor. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now in terms of AI tools regarding programming. They're cool, but I'm still gonna use Cursor. Vibe coding is not the optimal solution we're striving for. Now, if you watch until the end, here's a little gift for you. This is a 50% off discount for Shiori, which is my own AI chat app where you can talk with basically any LLM, generate images, generate even videos, text-to-speech, and even summarize YouTube videos, which is the most used feature by far, since you can also ask them questions and everything. Also, this is all integrated into the AI chat. Other than that, if you enjoyed the video, give it a like, sub to the channel, and I'll see you next time.